All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Hannah. I'm head of partner student recruitment here for the Royal Holloway International Study Centre. I also support students applying with our partners for direct undergraduate and postgraduate degrees. So again, very happy to talk to you today in detail about Royal Holloway, University of London. I'm very happy to be joined by our International Study Centre Director, Ben Fabian, today, who will tell you all about the experience of physically studying on campus. So without further ado, I will hand straight over to Ben.
Okay, thanks very much, Hannah. All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time. All right, Royal Holloway. So I don't know if you know this, but the history of Royal Holloway is actually very important to the history of university education in the United Kingdom. Royal Holloway was the first place that women could get a degree. We started off as Bedford New College in central London and moved in the 1880s to our current campus, which was 10 or more times larger than the original site of Bedford New College. And that was the first place that many women got degrees in the UK. And so before that, women didn't have access to careers like lawyers, doctors, judges, accountants, etc., where those professions were protected by qualifications. And so the first medical doctor, Elizabeth Blackwell, was a student at Royal Holloway. And in fact, many of the first women in their field, like Elizabeth, the first woman doctor, many of the first women in their fields, first judges, accountants, were students at Royal Holloway. And obviously now, all universities in the UK, except women. And so that's leadership, isn't it? That's when you take action, particularly brave, difficult, innovative action, and you do the right thing. You understand your values and you make the right decision, even where that's a challenge. And then later others follow. That's leadership. And that's what we're looking for today. We're looking for students who've got strong values and confidence and want to go into the world and make a difference. And if that's you, then Royal Holloway could be a place where you feel at home, you feel you belong, and you can explore your potential. It's ranked among the top 30 universities in the UK now, and in the top 25% of universities for research. I'll give you a really current example. Royal Holloway's just influenced the European Union laws on chemical poisons and pesticides, and the rules have been changed across Europe because of research that was done at Royal Holloway on the relationship between pesticides, insects and pollinators, and bees. And so that's an example of how we're still making a difference in the world. And our research agenda, we describe it as challenge-led. That means we're looking for challenges and how we can contribute to the betterment of society. And Royal Holloway is a university of social purpose. And if you've got a social purpose and a set of values that drive you, then maybe Royal Holloway is a good choice for you. Okay, next slide, please. So here's some stats, some facts and figures. So I live in central London, near Tower Bridge in Bermondsey, next to London Bridge on the Jubilee line. And I commute to Royal Holloway International Study Centre, to Egham on the train. It's 40 minutes on the train from central London. It's one of the most beautiful campuses in the world. It's been voted many times, most beautiful campus in the UK, one of the most beautiful campuses in the world. And for that reason, it's regularly a filming location. You can see some of the shows and movies that have been filmed there, including The Crown on Netflix, You on Netflix, Avengers, the movie, etc. We have high student satisfaction above the sector average, excellent research outputs. As I described, we're making change in the world through our research. 110 clubs and societies for student experience, 131 nationalities on campus. The size of the uni is important because it's not a huge city university where you're in a big city and you're in with all the tourists and all the locals, and there's 50,000 students. It's a campus university on the edge of London with just under 12,000 students, which gives it a real community feel. In fact, one of the things that students often say to me about Royal Holloway when I ask them what they value most is the community. You can see that we've got 95,000 alumni from 165 countries who are all over the world working in key actor decision maker roles, having graduated. And if you graduate from Royal Holloway, you'll join that network. And in many cases, that network is a route into employment and graduate careers through connections you make through the alumni network at Royal Holloway. Okay, next slide, please. So as I said, it's just at the edge of London. We're right next to Heathrow. 7 miles is a short taxi ride, and Heathrow obviously is great for when you arrive for convenience. It's a big decision, a brave decision to come to the UK, another country, another culture, and start an educational journey there. And if you can arrive in smoothly at Heathrow and come straight over to us, that makes the first steps easier. It's also a great place for family and friends to visit from. And most importantly, I would say, it's a great starting point for you to go into Europe and see Paris, Rome, Amsterdam, etc. So Heathrow is important. It's also one of the biggest employment hubs in the UK, with tens of thousands of job opportunities. And so it's great if you're looking for part-time work while you study. We're in Surrey, which is one of the safest counties in the United Kingdom. So you've got a really best of both worlds scenario. If we go to the next slide, please, where we're talking about being in a beautiful campus, in a peaceful woodland environment, in Surrey, one of the safest counties in the United Kingdom, but right on the doorstep of London, the biggest financial hub in Europe and a cultural centre. Here's some of the other places that you can go and visit while you're staying with us at Royal Holloway. Bath is a beautiful Regency-style city. You've got Hampton Court Palace, Thorpe Park. Richmond upon Thames is London by the River, West London. Legoland, Windsor, Oxford, Windsor, and obviously Central London, where I live and where I'm sure many of you will be keen to visit or have spent time recently anyway. Okay, next slide, please. So this is our campus. Founders Building is the heart of campus. That's the oldest part of campus that was opened by Queen Victoria in 1886. And next to that is the library, which is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and was completed in 2017. So you can see both the heritage and the modern there. Our most recent building is Shilling, completed in 2019. And we've got sports facilities down through the woodlands and all of the modern accommodation blocks down through the woodlands too. On the sports facilities, they are elite professional sports standard sports facilities. Several professional sports teams use Royal Holloway's sports facilities for their training. So you know you're getting absolutely the best of the best when it comes to sports facilities. Also on campus is a very large number of places where you can eat and drink. Very social environment. In Founders Building itself, we've got Crosslands, which is the university bar and pub and restaurant in Founders, but there's also a large number of other food vendors around campus in the Students' Union, down in the hub, in the library. And so you've got a huge range of choices there, cuisines from all around the world. Okay, next slide, please. So here's the International Study Centre. If what you're looking at here is the view of the North Quad from the clock tower as you come into Founders. This is right at the front of campus. This is the first building built on campus. And in the middle there is a statue of Queen Victoria, who opened the university and gave it the royal moniker in 1886. If you look to the right of the picture, you can see Founders West, and that's the International Study Centre. That's where my office is and my team's based, and that's where you'll come. You'll come through the gate there underneath the clock tower where this picture was taken, turn right. This is the front of campus. The front gate is right in front of the building, and then you're with us home at the International Study Centre, next to the picture gallery, next to the chapel. And in front of you, what you can see is that large central corridor. That is a huge dining hall. So that's a really grand, high-ceiling dining hall with historical paintings of previous principals and vice chancellors, and that's where you can go. If you're self-catered, you can go there and buy food. If you're catered, you will go there and boop, beep your card to get your breakfast, lunch and dinner. Very competitive prices, some of the cheapest food that you can buy in the southeast of England, I would say, and that is done so that we help students manage the cost, because we know living in a foreign country like the UK can be expensive. So extremely good value food. I eat there regularly, and a very grand, beautiful, quite a special atmosphere in there. Okay, so that's Founders Building, where the International Study Centre makes its home. Should we have a look at the next slide? Okay, this is Founders Shop from Founders Square. And so you've got the history on the left and the university's more modern buildings. Here's the Emily Davidson Library building, 2017, on the right. I should say that Founders is also an option for student accommodation. So you can see there that those rooms that are not on the ground or the first floor, second, third, and fourth floor of Founders are student accommodation. So if you would like to live in a building like that, then you have the option to, while you're studying at the International Study Centre and your main programme at Royal Holloway. So that's a nice place to live, obviously, and a special atmosphere. Next slide, please. And here's another shot of the same area. So you can see the library there. The library has a rooftop where you can see central London. You can see the forest and woodlands all round and the campus. And then obviously the social space in Founders Square and in the patio just outside the library. The libraries have changed a lot. Here's another shot of the library, thank you. There used to be a place for silent study, a place where people would go and leave alone. But libraries have become a community hub, a communal area. If you go into the library now, it's a really noisy social space. There's still silent study areas where it's pin drop silent, and they have a very beautiful, serious atmosphere. But the majority of the library is for collaborative study now, and there are bookable meeting rooms all round with views of campus, where students can book time and work collaboratively with each other and learn from each other and work on projects. And then there are large communal social study spaces integrated with the cafe and restaurant in the library. And that's the busiest area of the library and how students use it most often now. The library's open 24/7. And so students, whatever their patterns and habits, can come and study with us in the library. It's also the home of the university's career service, where all the employability advisors for the different subject specialisms and the different career areas are based, and you can go and where they run their events, 3 events a week, careers fairs, employers coming in to visit, LinkedIn workshops where you can focus on your page and how to improve it, CV writing, interview practice. All those services are available through the library. There's also a supermarket based in the library for those of you who have self-catered accommodation and want to shop, so you can go home and cook. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is someone having a tour of Founders. Are we going to play the video? I don't know.
I don't know if it's working, so we can share a link after the session. Okay, we'll share a link with a sort of drone tour of Founders. But yeah, you can see from the photos what the architecture's like, and many students really value that. It's a key reason for choosing Royal Holloway for many students. Okay, let's move on. So I talked about the library recently, and here you can see some of the interior spaces in the library. Really modern, spacious feel. And it's a place I love to spend time, and many of my academic staff love to spend time. And certainly it's one of the places where the students spend most of their time. It's important to emphasize that the International Study Centre at Royal Holloway is fully integrated. We make our home in the main building on campus of the Founders Building, and all our students have full access to every university service, full access to the library, full access to all teaching spaces, full access to the student union, all sports facilities. We embed our teaching in the schools and departments. So if you're coming to us to study maths or physics, you will be then going to the same teaching space, the same teaching resources, seminar rooms and lecture theatres as students on main programmes and as you will be using when you progress from the ISC onto your main programmes. So then it's a very smooth transition from the end of your pathway year to the start of your year 2 or year 1 or master's programme. Because you're familiar with the estate, you're used to the teaching spaces, you're used to the campus. So we're fully embedded and integrated using exactly the same resources as all the schools and departments. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so on accommodation, as I said, you can stay in Founders Building where we are. You've got the doctor's surgeries in Founders Building. You've got the dining halls in Founders Building, the International Study Centres in Founders Building, and the accommodations in Founders Building. So if
you're looking for a highly supportive start in the UK, having everything all in one building, and a special building at that could be attractive. But there are also more modern accommodation blocks down past the woodlands on campus, a short walk from Founders, and in amongst the teaching spaces on campus, where you can have the self-catered with kitchens, and there's a range of options with ensuite. So we've got 3,400 bedrooms on campus. If you apply by the 26th of July, you're guaranteed accommodation. There's option of catered, which means a discount in all the dining halls and spaces, but there's also catered and self-catered, so you've got the choice. You can request single gender accommodation, if that's important to you, quiet accommodation and alcohol-free accommodation. And prices start from 123 a week for catered accommodation and shared bathroom, or 139 for self-catered. And you can see that those are very competitive prices. And what I would emphasize to you is that if you think about the campus accommodation offer with 24-hour security, excellent Wi-Fi, all bills and services looked after, no extra charges, and you think about the cost of living outside of campus, when you add the cost of commuting and any charges and bills and internet and heating and hot water and council tax that are added, in 99 cases out of 100, living on campus is the most cost-effective option. And the reason I emphasize that is that we at the International Study Centre only succeed if you succeed. You progressing and succeeding is our success. That's what we get out of bed in the morning to do. And we have really strong data, really clear data from previous years that students who live on campus do better. Attendance for students who live on campus is nearly 30% higher than students who live more than 60 minutes from campus. That's why we say you must not live more than 60 minutes from campus. That's not allowed. We insist that students live on or near campus because we see this really strong, clear relationship between where students live and how much they attend. And then in terms of progression, you're 4 times more likely to achieve all your progression requirements and succeed academically if you live on or near campus than if you live more than 60 minutes from campus. That's a huge effect size. And so I would push hard to say to you, please choose campus accommodation or near campus accommodation. That sets you up for success, and it puts you in a position where you've got the best, most cost-effective option overall once you factor in all the extra charges and the cost of commuting. And you've got the highest attendance, the best student experience because you're in that community. And that's so special. That's so important to what we offer at Royal Holloway. And you've got the highest chance of academic success, which is our principal focus and what we want. Okay, so please do choose to live on or near campus. Okay, I'm going to hand over at this stage to Hannah. Thank you very much for your attention.
All right, hi guys, thank you. So now I'm going to tell you a bit more about some of the academic departments. First of all, just touch on the fact that although Royal Holloway has obviously that beautiful Egham campus, it does have some of its postgraduate degrees. So if that's the entry point you're looking at, postgraduate, we do teach some of the postgraduate degrees in central London. So that's right next to the British Library. It's in the Bloomsbury district. So again, very central. They teach a select proportion of degrees that are really applicable to the workforce. So they're very practical degrees that benefit from having its academics be also embedded in that global world city with you know, a lot of industry. So you can see on the screen some of the degrees available taught only in central London. So say digital marketing, engineering management, software project management. So if these are of interest to you and you want to spend 1 year in the heart of London, essentially, Royal Holloway also gives you that option. So as we always talk about, best of both worlds, an option for anything a student would be looking for. Okay, but let me just talk you through some of the academic departments at Royal Holloway. So as Ben said, we are a medium-sized university, really focused on research excellence. And we have academic departments across a variety of areas. So there's the School of Business. We'll talk about all these in a bit more detail in a few slides, but the School of Business, the School of Engineering, Physical Science, which has big computer science and electronic engineering departments within it. Humanities, so it's if you want to study languages or history. law and social sciences, so that's where economics sits, but it's also where law and politics sit, again, very popular for international students. If you would like to study sciences, like physical life sciences, we've got the School of Life Science, so students study, say, biological science with us there, or psychology. And finally, the School of Performing and Digital Arts. Again, we're going to talk about these all in a lot more detail in a minute. Just wanted to kind of draw your attention particularly to the degrees that most international students are gravitating towards, so we'll spend a little bit more time on them. So particularly we have students study business management with us. We also have students study computer science with us, and then all the creative arts, so creative dramatic arts. Just some kind of key selling points of all of these. So if you're studying business and management with us, the business school has a lot of accreditations. For example, the AACSB accreditation is particularly for business schools. Only a very small percentage of world business schools have this accreditation, and it just means that it's very applicable for the workforce. So it's a very, again, practically oriented degree, which is designed around what the modern workforce is looking for. And to keep this accreditation, the school has to keep applying for it to be re-accredited, essentially. So it just means that it's a very, again, modern degree, that it's being refreshed and re-accredited very often. So again, you know that it's really a practical, applicable degree. For computer science and electronic engineering, it's got a very high teaching quality standards. It's got a School of Information Security, so a Department of Information Security within that school. Information security is another name for cybersecurity, so it's a very big subject right now for a lot of students, but also the workforce. It's very applicable to job opportunities out there. It was the first place that the first department in the UK for cybersecurity, and so it's, again, world leading. It's got academics who are advising our UK government on the future of cybersecurity and its applicability. Again, so you're learning from people who are, again, excellent in their fields and have been doing this for a very long time, and they're kind of the founders of it in the UK. And then we'll quickly jump over to performing arts. Royal Holloway is, again, excellent at performing in dramatic arts. It is very well ranked. So in the QS World Ranking, it is 14th in the world. And out of that, in the UK, all the institutions which are higher ranked in the UK are really practical institutions. So they're music consortiums, for example, or, performing arts schools. So they're not university environments. So if you want that mix of academic learning, so that degree that is got research excellence behind it, in addition to the practical side, we say there's no better place to study in the UK than Royal Holloway, just in terms of ranking, in terms of reputation, but also it has that reputation because of its proximity to London, its academics, proximity to, again, the culture and the media of London that students get access to, both through the academics relationships with those big those big creative hubs in London, but also just the fact that they're learning from again academics at the forefront of their field. To the next slide. We're going to go into a little bit more detail now. So again, business management, as we said, accredited, but also has a lot of opportunity for you to do practical experience as well. So we do suggest that students add on the year in business or industry into their business degrees. That does make the degree 4 years rather than 3, but that year in industry or business is paid. So you do get an entry-level salary for that year. Often either in a London or UK working environment. Often the students do get a job opportunity. They get an offer to continue working for that company after their graduation from that same employer. So it's a really good opportunity to invest a little bit longer in your education, essentially, but walk out with a lot of practical experience. Networking, you've obviously proved your value to this employer over your year in industry with them. And then, as we've said, it's a very high percentage of students who get that follow-on job opportunity to continue working with them after they graduate. So we really do recommend that. In the business school, if you are studying at undergraduate level, you can choose either, say, straight management, or you can add on management and marketing, management and entrepreneurship, management and digital innovations, if you want to be more focused on data analysis or social media aspects that are kind of very, again, modern and very applicable in most of us our kind of working days. They really train you for that. I'll also share that in the business school, they are aware, again, you want to be a well-rounded individual. So they don't have classes very kind of spread across your entire week. They do group the classes so that you'll be in the academic departments on certain days, and you'll have full days to do work experience or volunteering, again, to really enhance your CV. It's the curriculum is designed to make you employable, but also just the way they structure your timetable also supports that. Okay, and then as I've already touched on, a very respected Department of Computer Science and Electronic Engineering. So we said the information security, so that's a cybersecurity department within this school, is the oldest in the UK, but also the whole computer science department is one of the oldest in the world. So again, they have been doing this kind of at the forefront for a very long time. And students really do get the chance to specialize. For example, at undergraduate level, you can specialize in artificial intelligence, in software engineering, in information security, right from your undergraduate degree. So that can be on your degree certificate. And then a postgraduate study where you can also, again, specialize in machine learning, you can specialize in information security. So there's all those opportunities to really choose what area you're focusing on. And then as Ben mentioned, electronic engineering building is a very modern building, modern department. So it's had a lot of investment, so students get access to actually be building the hardware around electronic engineering. So there's labs that are both computer-based, but also allow you to do 3D printing, allow you to do soldering. So you get a real hands-on experience of all the different aspects of electronic engineering. And it also is project focused. So rather than just doing one project at the end of your entire degree, as a lot of universities offer, say a dissertation, in Royal Holloway, obviously because it's a research focused university, they want you to be hands-on practical. You do a project through every course. So at the end of every course, you have a hands-on experience of working in a team, but building something, kind of solving an issue. Essentially learning how your learnings is going to be applicable to your future. Okay, and then as we've said, we're very proud of the School of Dramatic Art and Performing Arts. So as we said, 14th in the world. And there's also some great rankings for music, particularly if students want to study music with us, second in the UK. And really within music, if students want to do practice-based studies, so if they come in and they want to play a musical instrument, kind of performance to a very high level, that's available to students. They have so many opportunities to actually practice, play in orchestras, play in small quartets or groups, both as part of classroom, but also there's so many different clubs and opportunities through their teachers to do additional performance. So if students are really interested, again, in performing to a high level of their particular instrument, Royal Holloway is an amazing place for that. In addition, if students want to be more digital, should we say, so interested in like sound design, they want to score music for media, for example. Again, working in a university that has all those different departments that are very interconnected, but again, very high quality, really gives students a lot of benefits. So across the department, the music students work with the film students, again, for scoring their films. If you work, say, in film, and you have great access to musicians, but you have also great access to the more digital side of media. So again, it's a really great place for cross-department collaboration. Students really benefit from that. And in addition, there's a lot of, as we said, very close to London. We have access to all those academics who are very integrated into the London film scene, music scene. They have connections in the key cultural areas that we've seen on the screen, the National Theatre, BBC Proms, Royal Opera House. Sometimes our academics say that they go see a play or let's say a play at the theatre in London, and they'll meet up with one of their past students who had invited to them. And then while they're standing backstage, they see other Royal Holloway students also doing lighting or music, and they tend to kind of run into the community live backstage. And so I think that's just a great kind of hint at exactly how both practical the education is, but just how integrated the university is into, again, the real world. And we will also touch on psychology and life science, again, because as a research university, the benefit for that, particularly students at undergraduate level, is that you will have access to both, again, high-class academics who are doing, as Ben mentioned, some kind of world-changing research in these areas of science, but also psychology. But you, as I said, you get real access to them. It's a very friendly, community-oriented university. And so because of that, the academics do have time for you to talk through your individual own goals, but also you get to spend a lot of time with them in the classrooms, or sorry, in the laboratories, or in doing field work, actually, again, understanding the applicability of what you're learning. So if students want to kind of become a scientist, they've got goals of in science. Royal Holloway's got really modern facilities, but again, all the access to the academics that let you excel as an individual in them. And in addition, we have a very good psychology department. It's a very popular department for our international students, and it's got a lot of facilities as well. For example, brain scanning, like an MRI screen machine, is available on campus for students to use. Okay, and then coming to the end, as Ben mentioned, we have a very great careers department based in the library that does have advisors for each school. So there'll be a careers advisor particularly for economics and business. There'll be one particularly for the performance of the dramatic arts performance department. But in addition, if that specialism isn't there in the main careers department, there is always an academic in the department itself who also has a careers focus. So say in School of Engineering, Electronic Engineering, there'll be one academic who's been assigned to be a careers and employability kind of lead. So in both areas, you have a lot of access to support there. And then I think Ben mentioned all the kind of key aspects that they cover. So a lot of job fairs, part-time job fairs, full-time kind of graduate work job fairs, employers coming to campus, both generally. So for if students just want to explore their general options, but also through the departments if they want to explore options more tailored towards computer science graduates, for example. Those employers come to campus. That's the benefit of being so close to London. Again, that city with a lot of industry and those modern, the modern employers, they can come to campus. Proximity-wise, it's very easy for them, and so again, that gives you just greater access to those work opportunities, those networking opportunities. Okay. Final things we will say. In addition to all the academics, we do have a very lively students' union. So that's run by students, but also for students. So these are some of the societies available that students can do, again, in their free time to socialize, but also to gain additional skills. So everything from science and women in science and technology to if you want to learn more about entrepreneurship, if you're interested in music or movies, if you want to do sports, everything's available through the Students' Union. So students have a really lively social life outside of London. And then obviously if they want to travel into London, they can gain all the access to the culture and the food and the sports of central London as well. So access both on the small level in the community based, and then through traveling into this world-class city, they also have access. Just wanted to also highlight, we've got lots of student union clubs or societies that are cultural based. So for example, the students all from across Southeast Asia get together and do activities that maybe make students a little less homesick. So access to local food, playing sports together, going out and seeing movies together, that kind of activity is very common. On screen, I've got some of the screenshots of our Filipino students, but there's also students from Malaysia. We have lots of students from Myanmar on campus. So it's a very cross Southeast Asia society that's very welcoming and very active. Okay. Now I'm happy to talk about this unless Ben would also like to, but maybe we'll both kind of tag team these kind of slides. So for students from Myanmar, there are obviously different entry points into Royal Holloway, University of London. If you are coming in at undergraduate level and you have a local qualification, so if you have basic high school, you can come in either at foundation level, which is essentially year 0 of an undergraduate degree. If you have grades of 60% with 60% in 5 academic subjects. If you're coming in with a higher grade point average, you can come directly in an international level to international year 1. So it's the international equivalent of year 1 of an undergraduate degree. And we're looking for 70% in your high school qualification. So that gives you the indication of then 2 different entry points based on your academic background and therefore how much additional support you will require to be brought up to university level in the UK. Now, international year 1 is a great option because, again, it's the first year of your university degree. You do not spend additional time towards your bachelor's degree. But it's in that international environment where you get a lot of additional support because we understand that you're entering a different education kind of culture. Ben, I don't know if there's anything else you'd say about the international year 1 as a benefit to students.
Sure. So we have several teachers who teach on both the year 1 and the international year 1. It's exactly the same modules and assessments. So it's exactly the same preparation for year 2. For example, in our management school, which is our biggest school, where we send close to 100 students a year, we have information and data which shows that students who did the international year 1 are actually doing about 3% better in year 2 than students who did the direct entry year 1. So we know it's an excellent supportive route into year 2. I think some of the key reasons for that are, one, the teaching is in much smaller groups. On the main programs, big lectures in computer science and management that the students will have could be hundreds of students. 250 students is not uncommon for a large lecture and a big core module. Whereas in international year 1, the typical class sizes is more like 15, 18 students in a group. So that makes a difference. 2, we have specialist academics that work only with international students and are experienced supporting students who transition into the UK. 3, we have an academic skills module, which supports students with language development, but importantly with essay writing, seminar skills, note-taking, etc., all the academic skills, citations, bibliographies, avoiding plagiarism, etc., that students need to succeed. We also have a team of support services with a really excellent student to staff ratio, about 10 times higher than on the direct route. Because at the ISC, we're set up to provide support. And so we have booster classes, 1 per week per module as needed, which is a small group class to catch up and cover on any key concepts that students may have found new and challenging that week. 1-to-1 academic tutorials that students can have every week in every subject if they need to. And then progress coaches. We have our progression support team, full-time on-site staff who meet with students 1-to-1 every day if needed to support students and to make sure that they're always making progress. And if for any reason some going off track, we can meet with students 1-to-1, really understand what's causing it, solve the problem and get everyone back on track so we can have excellent progression and student outcomes at the end of the year. So yeah, international year 1, I would say, is a very attractive option, smaller groups, more support and stronger outcomes long term.
Perfect, thank you, Ben. If you have international qualifications, like A-levels, international baccalaureate, that is accepted for going directly into just year 1 along with the domestic cohort. And then in addition, for our postgraduate students, so at the moment for direct admit to the postgraduate degrees, the university does look for either the equivalent of a Myanmar master's degree or a 5-year undergraduate degree. So this is the entry qualifications for September 2024 and January 2025. We do understand that a lot of students will just come in with a 4-year bachelor's degree. So that is under discussion with the university for September 2025. So it's being discussed. But yeah, for the moment, we do require a 5-year undergraduate degree or a master's degree for entry to postgraduate direct admit. If you'd like to come in with a 4-year bachelor's degree, or you need additional, again, support acclimatizing to the UK, English language support, we have the pre-masters through the International Study Centre. And again, that's the additional year before your master's degree to bring you up into entry-level qualification. And all the same kind of wraparound support services, all the same access to tutors, as Ben mentioned, for the undergraduate level. Okay, wanted to mention pricing. So foundation year, for example, fees are 18,750. There are scholarships available, so please do speak to your counsellor, and we can tell you what's available for you specifically. I would say that across all of our entry points, we do have a lot of scholarships available this year, so please do inquire. International Year 1, 19,250, and then pre-masters, 16,250. In addition to scholarships available for the International Study Centre programs, we do have a 10% discount for your first year of your university study after the International Study Centre. So that's if you progress into year 2 of the undergraduate degree from International Year 1, you will get 10% off your tuition for the first year. And so that's an award the university gives our students from the International Study Centre. There's also one additional scholarship that they allow International Study Centre students to apply for, which is 3,000, but that is merit-based, so you do have to submit an application to be considered for that, in addition to the 10%. Okay, and then just wanted to really make sure we were talking a lot about the student experience. I know Ben's gone into a lot of detail on all the support available through the international programs. Ben, is there anything additional you want to say to this slide?
Please, yeah. So this is not the first university I've worked at, or the first university where I've been centre director of an international study centre, and I was very happy and settled where I was working previously at another university, and we'd improved student outcomes enormously and built a great team, and things were going well. The reason I decided to move to Royal Holloway was I felt that Royal Holloway is very deeply committed to supporting students and including all students from all backgrounds, and making sure everyone has the chance to succeed. And that starts off with a history of opening up and being the first place women could go to university. It includes the way they've worked with us and how they've made the International Study Centre important to them and put us in the heart of the campus and given us everything we need to thrive and succeed. And we've more than doubled in size over the last 3 years through our really excellent partnership with Royal Holloway. And that's, to me, what I value about Royal Holloway and why I chose to work there. When I was a child, I struggled to learn to read. When I was 5 or 6, other students were learning to read and I was getting behind. In fact, both my brothers could read before me, which was embarrassing and frustrating. And when I was 7 and 8, I was still having lots of issues, very behind learning to read and having lots of extra support, what was then called special needs education, when I was at school. And my mum and the support staff and the teachers worked really hard and put a lot of time and energy into me. And I didn't want to learn to read. I really was frustrated and embarrassed, and I was trying to avoid reading. But they believed I could, and they didn't give up, and they pushed and they supported. And eventually, when I was around 8, I found a different way of thinking about things, or another way of wiring my brain up around reading. And suddenly the penny dropped, it clicked, and I could read. And since then, I've gone on through various qualifications, been to universities, done various types of postgraduate study, taught, done teacher training, and various leading and management and coordination roles. And I have a very reading intensive job, hundreds of emails and documents, policies, etc. I wouldn't be here doing this job. I wouldn't be talking to you today if it wasn't for that support, if I hadn't learned to read. And so I know from first-hand experience how students who struggle and have challenge at various points in their journey shouldn't be written off and can succeed with the right support at the right time and go on and do surprising things that stretch themselves and mean they can then contribute and help others. So yeah, support's incredibly important to me. As I said, we've doubled the ISC in size in the last 3 years, and we've put a large team in place to support students as we've grown. And the progression team is a new team for the ISC, highlighted there in green. And those guys are on campus. Their job is to make sure every student succeeds. And they are very popular with the students. The progression team room is like a sort of student hub, student common room sort of atmosphere. Students spend a lot of time there, and those guys have one-to-one meetings regularly with students to support them through whatever the challenge is. Because things that affect learning can be anything from sleep to language skills to confidence, social relationships, digital technologies, subject knowledge, prior learning, expectations, plans, goals. So there's a huge range of issues and themes which that team helps students manage, and they make sure every student has got the fundamental studentship, the underlying set of student skills that you need to succeed, and that every student feels supported and has a responsive point of contact for help as they are progressing through their studies. And so, yeah, I think support's incredibly important. It's my passion, and I think it's something we're very good at. We have the highest satisfaction with support of the 14 universities that we compare ourselves to for international study centres. And we're looking forward to working with you. Whatever challenges you experience, we'll be there to help.
Thank you. And then we just wanted to also tell you about how diverse the International Study Centre is. So this is our numbers from last September, and just showing that we have a few groups of larger nationalities. Of that, actually Myanmar is one of our larger groups. So we have students from, say, India, Pakistan, Hong Kong, Myanmar, Malaysia, as our kind of larger than ones or twos, essentially. And then of a range of different nationalities, countries, we have one or two or three students, which really gives you access to a global classroom, students from different cultures, different education backgrounds, bringing their own knowledge to the classrooms and really kind of enhancing your learning. So if you think about the workforce that you're going to go into after you graduate, it's likely that you'll be dealing with international people, cross-cultural communication, and to be able to start that right from your education, right from your International Studies Centre year, we think that's really going to be a benefit to you. Again, Ben, I don't know if there's anything you'd add.
The key point on diversity is that there's very little that you learn from more than each other, and having a global classroom with students from all around the world and 63 nationalities just in the ISC, and then another 60 or so taking it over to over 100 nationalities on campus at Royal Holloway, means that you do get a really global perspective. And that means that you learn to accept, you learn to think critically, you learn to work and collaborate with others from other backgrounds. And, you know, a lot of what we do with international students is geared towards preparing students to go off into the world and be confident and go towards difficulty and challenge and try to make a difference. And if you think about challenges that the world's faced with technology, with disease and health, with climate and environment, these are things that cannot be fixed by one person or even one country, where we do need to cooperate. And in a lot of ways, I think the world is relying on international students to lead us towards solutions on these big tricky international global issues. And so, yeah, we want you to be in a diverse environment and feel comfortable there. And then when you go off into the world to make a difference later, feel that you are able to work with others, reach out across borders and make change. So the diversity on campus is actually a really important part of the development.
Thank you. Okay. So this is my final slide. I wish we could have finished on that inspirational slide, but we'll do a bit of admin at the very end. So if you are studying with us at the International Study Centre, there are two types of visas we have available. So there's either at foundation level, you'll be studying on a visa just for the foundation, and then you'll be applying for a new visa for your full undergraduate degree. That is beneficial in that it does allow you to change your degree a little bit if you decide during the international year that you want to be studying something slightly different in business, or you want to be studying, instead of computer systems engineering, computer science, you can change within the same module group. It's a benefit. If you are studying international year one, because it is degree level, we can give you a joint CAS for your international year one and for the entire rest of your undergraduate degree. So years 2 and 3 all come under that same visa, that same CAS, because again, it is degree level. It does also allow us to accept a wide range of English language qualifications. So it does not need to be a secure English language test, a CELT, which is a requirement for the UK government for, say, other visas. Because it's degree level, we can accept, again, a range of English tests. So please do contact your counsellors about opportunities there. And in addition, it does allow you a little bit more time, part-time work on this degree. So you're allowed to work on this you're allowed to work on this visa 20 hours a week, essentially have a part-time job. Again, because it's a slightly higher level visa, they'll allow you a little bit more time working alongside your studies. And so yeah, great benefit for students. They don't need to reapply for their visa in the middle of their degree. Essentially, they can just progress straight on. That's also available for our pre-masters. Again, it is a degree level course or like post. It's a higher academic study. Again, so it's one visa for the entire pre-masters and postgraduate degree. Okay, so that is all from us today, but typically we take the time to answer questions. I know obviously we're a different kind of format today. We're happy to answer questions, or we're just happy to have you kind of reach out to us through your counsellors. Again, any kind of questions, I'm sure they'll come through to us. We'll make sure you get the expert education. But again, please do use your educational counsellors in country to support you applying to Royal Holloway.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Hannah. Let me
Thank
check
you.
with the students whether they have some questions to directly want to ask you or something.
Sure.
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ဟိုမေးချင်တဲ့မေးခွန်းလေးရှိလို့ရှိရင်တစ်ချက်ပြောလို့ရပါတယ် Okay, Hannah, so we got one question here. Can we attend
amazing.
foundation with O levels?
Yes, yeah, O levels is high school level qualification, so yes, we can accept O levels. Again, if you submit an actual inquiry, we can have a look at the exact entry requirements and tell you from our entry requirements grids. I will also say if you go on our International Study Centre website, so it's Royal Holloway ISC, International Study Centre, there is a page for entry requirements that you can see for every country, but also for like O levels. It might be called GCSEs. We'll call it the same thing though. If you see a GCSE level entry point, that will be the same requirements for O levels.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah.
So the next question was, what is your minimum age requirement? Is there any minimum age requirement to join?
Yes, they do have to be 17 years old. If Ben wants to give any more
Yeah,
detail on why.
you need to be 17 on day one of the enrollment period at the youngest, because you need to be 18 on day one of your main program when you progress.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I will say sometimes students aren't 17 by September, but they are maybe by January. And so we have two different start dates. So if they just miss out on September because of their age, but can join us in January, that gives the exact same education journey. They just lose essentially their summer holiday between their international year and the next year. So it doesn't lose any time, but sometimes that's what we do with younger students. We see if they will be 17 by the next program start date.
Okay, thank you. So do you accept Duolingo as an English test?
Let me try and think. I don't think we do for the international years. I think the university does for its direct admit, but I don't think for the international years. But we can ask them that question as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question was can we know details of scholarships for like half or full scholarship? Is there any full scholarship available at Holloway?
It won't be a full scholarship. I don't know if our regional team are on the call. I don't know if Amy has any details on what's available for particularly Southeast Asia.
Yes, thank you. I'll check with Amy then.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I don't know
Yes.
why my camera is not on. Yes, we do have scholarships available for foundation and the international year one, including the PMP. We are currently getting quite a large scholarship out to the international year one, but it's still being processed with finance. So when I get it, I will update all the counselors, and please check with EEVS because they are doing your visas for you, they do your application for you, and they'll do your accommodation for you as well. So they are situated in Mandalay and Yangon. You can drop by their office or just make an appointment anytime. They will be able to assist you with this. Yeah.
Yes, I've also shared our contacts via group chat. Thank you for answering, Amy.
Thank you.
So is there any more questions? ဟုတ်ကဲ့ကျောင်းသားတွေတစ်ချက်လောက်လေမိကုံများမေးဖို့ကြံသေးလားမသိဘူးခင်ဗျ။နောက်ပြီးဒီကျွန်တော်လေးဒီ chat ထဲမှာဒီ ကျွန်တော်တို့ရန်ကုန် office ကော Manly office ကော Counselor ဖုန်းနံပါတ်တွေအကုန်ထားပေးထားရပါတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့တစ်ချက်ဆက်သွယ်ပြီးတော့ဖြစ်မေးလို့ရပါတယ်ခင်ဗျဟုတ် Okay, so like final question is that how long is pre-master program? Do we need to reapply for the master program?
So the pre-master program, we have 2 start dates. You can start in September, and then the program is 2 semesters. You join your master's program the following September, or we have a quicker route where you start in March, and you join your master's program, excuse me, in September, doing a condensed version of the 2-semester program. You don't need to reapply if you meet the progression requirements for your subject grades and your academic English skills scores. At the end of the pre-master's program, you get an unconditional offer and you go straight through to your master's, and we'll easy drive you through that process of registering following the successful outcome on the PMP. Interestingly, we got some information from graduates of our pre-master's program who finished their masters now, and we had 10% pass, 80% merit grades, and 10% distinction in our most recent cohort. So PMP students going on to do their masters at Royal Holloway are getting really excellent academic outcomes at the end.
Okay, so duration is between 6 months or 1 year.
Yeah, and you've got both those options, the sort of standard year or a condensed or more accelerated option, depending on your preference.
Got it. Thank you, Ben. Yes, the students are also thanking you. I also thank you so much. I think there is any more questions. So, thank you really for your time, precious times. Really, it was really a wonderful information sharing session.
It's a real
It's
pleasure
great to
do
speak to you. Yeah, and I'll just say, Ben, we really appreciate Myanmar students on campus. I'm sure you'd
absolutely,
responded
yeah.
well.
It's a really important part of the International Study Centre, our Myanmar community, and it's one of our fastest growing markets for Royal Holloway. So yeah, we're very keen to see that continue.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, I will stop the session here. Bye-bye.
Thanks all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye-bye.